CSMR 31 at 1175 Edgeworth Drive, near Rodney Street. Road 3, Shelman Drive, near Cottage Garden Street. CMAP 570, 8, Alpha. Alpha Bravo, 10.
Sean Tier, SEANTERE, Chief of the Harris County DA's Office, Vehicular Crimes Division. This evening at about 7 o'clock, 6:58, we had a Ford Expedition that was traveling at a high rate of speed on Belfort. There were 4 people in the car. There was a big forklift, a heavy-duty machinery forklift. It was transporting some set of goods from one side of Belfort to the other. This is a 35-mile-an-hour zone. The Expedition was traveling in excess of 70 miles an hour. Struck the forklift just truly broadside. The 2 backseat passengers of the Expedition were found deceased here at the scene. The medical examiner is extricating the bodies as we speak. It was a pretty horrific crash. We found open containers in the car. The driver is in serious condition, but was able to communicate with officers. The driver admitted to drinking a number of drinks today, and we saw a number of clues to indicate to us that we believe he's intoxicated. Based on all of that, I've accepted 2 charges of intoxication manslaughter on the driver. The front passenger is also in very serious condition. As it sits right now, the driver's being charged with an additional count of intoxication assault for that. Both of the intoxication manslaughter charges carry a maximum punishment range of 20 years in prison. The intoxication assault carries a maximum punishment range of 10. If the front seat passenger does indeed perish from these injuries, we'll upgrade that charge to a 3rd charge of intoxication manslaughter. We see this all the time. We see dead bodies on the roads. It's a pretty rare occurrence where we see 3 people potentially die in one crash. So we're working this as we do all of these fatalities with every bit of care. We're gonna be there for all of these families as we go forward. But when you have the multiple fatalities in one scene, it really does heighten all of our focus to make sure that these families get the justice that they deserve. And so that's what we're doing here. Additionally, we believe that we know the location that this person was drinking. We don't have a blood alcohol concentration yet, but when we get that, if it's high enough, if it's where we believe it possibly could be, then we could be looking at potential charges for whoever served this person last. And it's something that we've been very serious about for a number of years. If you're going to be in the chain of events and someone who profits from putting somebody on the roads when they are this inebriated, this unsafe to be behind the wheel, then you're going to face some ramifications as well. So we're looking at potential charges in that realm as well.
Was the severity of the crash because of the forklift, because of how big it was, and the speed? Was it like hitting a brick wall?
The severity of this crash was completely because of the speed that someone was traveling at on a 35-mile road. That being said, we're not even talking about an F-250. Like this is a multi-ton vehicle. This is probably a 5-ton vehicle. So yes, it was pretty close to hitting a brick wall. The speed that this Expedition was going, it moved that massive vehicle about 25 feet. And so imagine the speed and the kinetic energy that's involved in doing that. Yes, I think that hitting something that large contributed to the violence that we saw, but you could hit anything in a Ford Expedition doing 80 miles an hour and it's going to be pretty catastrophic.
Any idea how everyone in the car knew each other?
We have yet to identify anyone, including the driver. He is being treated at a hospital, a local hospital, so we have yet to really even get his identification. So we don't have criminal history, we don't have next of kin for the two deceased, we don't have any information on the front passenger. I can tell you that the two deceased are adult African American males, but that's the extent of the information we have. That is the next kind of step in the investigation, is first identifying everyone involved and then finding out why they were all together and what they were doing, and going backwards to paint a picture as to why two men lost their lives tonight.
Were they wearing seatbelts, the backseat passengers?
That we don't know yet. The violence of the crash really didn't lend itself to us being able to determine really where even anyone was sitting. We know they were in the back seat basically because that's where they wound up. So we're going to be able to put that all together. The Houston Police Department Vehicular Crimes Division is as good as any in the state, if not the country. And so their crash reconstruction unit is going to work this from the beginning to the end with the DA's office, and in very short order we're going to be able to know everyone's position, whether or not seatbelts were utilized. That being said, in a crash of this magnitude with this speed involved, seatbelts typically aren't a big factor in whether or not someone survives.
And the forklift driver?
Forklift driver, thankfully, walked away from this. He, we can confirm, was wearing a seatbelt. He is on scene, has cooperated completely with law enforcement, has given a full statement. There's nothing that we see right now that would indicate that he did anything wrong, and thank God he was able to walk away from this.
I think HPD initially told us there was another car that was actually stopped waiting for the forklift to cross. Is that true?
Yeah, that is one of the ways that we are confident in talking about the speed that was involved. We had a second car who was doing the right thing, who was stopped waiting for the forklift to cross, and that just goes to the intoxication of the driver at fault in this case. When you see, you're driving on West Bellfort by 59, you know that this is an industrial part of town. Things like this happen, and another motorist was capable of stopping and letting the forklift driver do his job. The intoxicated driver in this case in no way apparently braked or gave any credence to the giant forklift leaving. And because of that, we have two individuals who are dead.
I apologize, I haven't seen the video, so the forklift had a load on it or not?
As right now, it does not look like the forklift had a load. I have yet to really get into the minutia like that. As it sits right now during the crash, the forklift doesn't have a load. I'm not sure whether or not another representative of the company removed the load to take it to where it needed to go, but right now the forklift does not have a load, and it is still fully involved with the car.
Thank you.
My pleasure, guys.